So, this is not really a vlog. I'm just gonna be very upfront and honest with you guys. It is currently 10:31, so I don't think I'm gonna be getting that much sleep tonight. I also don't want to be here for very long because again, 10:31. But we do have some things to discuss. So briefly, I did finish The Burning God. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars for things I'm going to elaborate on in a Poppy War series discussion that'll be coming some point. The bulk of this update is really going to be about Razorblade Tears, and this is going to kind of stand in as a review. We're gonna discuss this book. We're gonna go over my thoughts and opinions. We're going to talk about it because I didn't do a lot of vlogging today. So, Razorblade Tears is a crime novel that I would not call a mystery, wouldn't really call it a thriller. It's a crime novel. It's like a piece of fiction. That's what I labeled it as when I was putting it into my spreadsheet. We follow two fathers, Ike and Buddy Lee, as I've told y'all repeatedly, and they are brought together because their sons were married and they were murdered. So the story that people sell you is that and the inside flap, they sell you the story of Buddy Lee and Ike teaming up to hunt down their son's murderer. And that's definitely what happens, sure. Um, but what I would say this book really is like a bad episode of Law and Order, a bad episode of CSI, a bad episode of Criminal Minds. It feels very 1990s. And I understand that S.A. Cosby is a native of Virginia and of the South, and this book is set in Virginia, and it's like, I'm sure, very authentic to the people. I don't want to say that people are not in 2022 running around using all the slurs and the bigotry. I fully believe that. I fully believe in the community is not really wanting to be involved with the police investigation for various points or another. What I failed to believe is a series of events that unfolded that started off at the 30% mark with these two men in a shootout in suburbia, that escalated to a shootout in a trailer park, that escalated with fertilizer bombs and rings of fire and just fucking foolishness. I was already not sold on this idea that these two men who were brought together by the deaths of their sons who just happened to be gay, them trying to like redeem themselves for their past sins and their sanctimonious attitudes towards everybody around them. And like, here's the thing, I think that you can definitely come from a place of hating your gay child, learning to accept them, and then being like, hey, don't use those slurs in my presence. But the way that these men were reacting as though they had never once done those same things was weird to me. And then the way that I think the narrative was doing this weird thing where it was using all of these like slurs, and we were having all of these like strife, and like there's white supremacy in the book, and there's like this, that, and the third. And then we'd have like this whole passage, like we'd have like lengthy passages where secondary, tertiary characters would come into the story and be like, well, children, this is what an ally is, and this is why you shouldn't use words like faggot, and why we shouldn't call people niggers. And it's just kind of like, okay. It was very, like, I said this in my written review of The Burning God, but it was very discordant. There was something that was not harmonious about the way that these, like, ally characters were written to the story, these, like, brief detours into wokeism that just didn't fit, that felt very, like, oh, I'm using all these slurs, but we're going to have a teachable moment because you're reading this book and I want you to know that you shouldn't feel comfortable even though I'm writing these slurs. And it was just, it felt very, I don't want to say it was gratuitous. So, like, it was believable. But at a certain point, the believability did not matter to me. I also want people to go into this book knowing that the actual core plot, the actual, like, motivating factor for why these two gay men die is violence against a trans woman. And that's not something that I thought I was going to be reading about. And then I started reading it and I was like, where did I sign up for this? Like, where did I sign up for the actual core of this story being this trans woman running for her life, like being scared out of her mind, low key still in love with her abuser? Like, it was like layers to an onion that we didn't need to peel back. We were peeling back layers and things were getting more and more 1990s episode of Law and Order. And it just it just wasn't good. At the very beginning, like when Ike was talking about, the little glacier and like time was like Quicksilver, I was still like, okay, sure, like these are some really pretty sentences. But as the story went on, the sentences got clunkier and clunkier. Like, I don't think that people walk around in their day-to-day lives and say these really poetic, really, finely edited points of dialogue. So I can see how like characters speaking in this clunky way lends itself to a believability that wouldn't exist if these characters were speaking in this like really elevated way, but their circumstances in life didn't match. Like, I could see how that would be a thing. But at the point where we're having shootouts in suburbia and shootouts in the trailer park, and we're making pipe bombs, and like we're doing this, that, and the third, believability for me is like I'm okay with suspending the disbelief. Like, I can believe that in the world of these characters that they are going to speak in a way that is still like bigoted, and but they are still elevated. And I think that I need to stop saying I think. I'm not gonna edit any of them out, but take a shot every time I say it. For me, the characters just they didn't work. The arcs didn't work. The storyline itself didn't work. It was just not, it wasn't good ever. It just wasn't. Like, there was never a moment where I felt the book was really firing on all cylinders. There were brief moments at the beginning and brief moments at the end, but looking back at the entire arc of the story, there was no purpose to anything that happened. Like, things were just happening so you would have a book to read, which is fine. Like, I don't think every book has like needs to serve a purpose, but I think that I was looking in the text for me to find a reason for the book to exist that might not have been fair. Going into the book with the knowing the premise of these two gay men dying and their fathers like trying to find redemption and like revenge or whatever, that for me wasn't enough. I don't think that the revenge that these people found was enough. And there was a reveal in the third act that I was just like, this is foolishness. Like, this reveal specifically about a character who had done a thing, I said, this is, of all the crazy things that are happening right now, this character doing this to kind of push the plot forward was by far the stupidest, most egregious thing that happened in a book full of stupid, egregious things. So again, I cannot recommend this book to literally anybody. But this was just, it was just awful from beginning to end. Just ass. Just horrible. So this was not much of a Alex Michaelides. He has S.A. Cosby is coming for your game. S.A. Cosby is coming for the game, Alex Michaelides. So I'm done. I'm over it. I still don't know if I'm going to be able to bring myself to watch the live show discussion about this book because this book enrages me so much. In theory, I'm happy that there are people out there that enjoyed this. But again, I think that none of the topics that this book wanted to handle were well done. And so I'm just kind of like, I'm at a loss for words. So I'm gonna go. I'm gonna end this here. Tomorrow I'm hoping to have, a nice reading day. I still want to finish 50 Words for Rain, and I still need to read the final revival of Opal and Nev. So definitely gonna be kept busy, but we'll see how this goes. We'll see how this goes. Um Thanks for watching. If you've made it this far, you're the real one. I'll see you guys in tomorrow's vlog. Hopefully it'll actually be vloggy. Hopefully, fingers crossed. But I'll see you guys then. Until next time, bye.